Hey, welcome to Heart to Heart, where I like to sit down and have a nice little talk about anime, movies, games. And today I'm extremely excited to be talking about Godzilla Minus One, the movie of 2023. This thing did not disappoint. Right off the bat, this movie is 30 seconds in and shit's already hitting the fan. I go into Godzilla movies wanting Godzilla to just destroy stuff, flip buildings over, give me some classic atomic blast or stepping on a building, or I don't know, just doing some classic Godzilla stuff. Even the Godzilla movies that people generally hate, I kind of have a weird soft spot for. Yes, I am talking about the one with Matthew Broderick. And though I'm not like a huge fan of the newer like Godzilla versus Kong movies, I did like, I think it was King of Monsters or whichever one before that. Only saying all of this to really get the point across that I'm kind of easy to please when it comes to Godzilla. But even with making that point, this movie still was better than I thought it would be. Because for once, I wasn't rooting for Godzilla. In pretty much every single movie, even when Godzilla is the bad guy, I don't really care. I like seeing Big Lizard break shit. And when you try to kill it, it doesn't work. Because it's a big, scary monster. Like, my brain is just, I just love it. But in this movie, I cared so much about the people. As cool it was to see Godzilla trample, you see him, he tramples people and kills them and just does some wild shit. He blasts, the entire city to ruin, and I'm like, wow, that was awesome. And then it's really sad and like not so awesome. I actually was very invested to our main character. Whenever the humans came on the screen, I didn't just go, get off, I don't care. Like, the human element to most Godzilla movies does not interest me whatsoever, but this one, it did a lot. The movie starts in the last days of World War II, and you follow a pilot who lands on an island that's where they do their repairs for their ships. He's claiming that his ship is broken, but in reality, he just wasn't able to fulfill his duty as a kamikaze pilot. He just wasn't able to do it. And then he feels just so guilty, and he just feels like a coward. Like he's not able to fulfill his duty. And then my only critique of this movie was at this part where Godzilla is just there. He's just suddenly there. And he's big. He's not, at the beginning, he's not fucking a skyscraper, but he's still large. He's still like comparable to literally a T-Rex from Jurassic Park, like the T-Rex. That's almost what he looks like, and they even describe him as like a prehistoric creature that's been genetically mutated, which is exactly what has happened. But Godzilla shows up, and our main character is asked to get into his gunner to shoot Godzilla, and he gets into his gunner. He's not able to do it, which results in the rest of his crew kind of panicking and firing at Godzilla, and then Godzilla just decimates them all. And something that I really liked about the beginning was it, without saying anything, it is immediately clear that Godzilla is not hungry. Like, he's not on the hunt for food, because he could have eaten them, but he didn't. He didn't eat a single one. Matter of fact, he picked up, I think, 2 or 3 of them, not like one at a time, like literally picked up one at a time in his mouth. He threw one straight into the sky, tossed one behind, like these fucking bodies, just boom, gone. Like, he's just tossing them around, and I'm like, wow, he's not eating them. Like, you just kind of expect him to eat it. It's like, no, he's not hungry. He's just angry. His eyes are almost rolled back in red in the first opening scene. So with this combination of our main character he ends up surviving, going home, and his entire neighborhood's in shambles. Like, his house is gone, his parents didn't make it, his neighbor is basically giving him shit, saying like, how dare you show your face here? If you would have done your duty, none of this would have happened. Also, when he wakes up after Godzilla attacks, there's one survivor, and that one guy is like, if you would have just shot, all these people would be alive right now. They all have families, like everyone would be home with their family. Like, this is all your fault. So he's been put the literal weight of the world on him, this guy. But then he is also to the point where he doesn't even want to live anymore. He's just in a market, and some woman just gives him a baby and runs away, and you're like, what the hell just happened? And then the woman comes back, and you find out that she was given this baby by a dying woman. So now she's taking care of this baby. She doesn't want it to be orphaned. And now he basically ends up taking care of them. And then they have like become like a little family, and it's all cute. And you see he's getting some like redemption kind of. But Godzilla, he is a boogeyman in this movie. It's like this. I had this weird thought. Godzilla was sent here to torment the main character. Literally, he was just sent to torment this one guy as like a boogeyman, almost like as like punishment for giving up, because he just gives up. And it's not just because he gives up as being a kamikaze pilot, but it's just he gives up on himself. I don't know. I don't know. I just had this weird thought of that he was basically just sent here to punish this guy throughout, because the whole movie, like, Godzilla just messes with this. It's almost like he's there, messes with this one guy so many times, because Godzilla fucks everything up that this dude loves and cares about, just absolutely everything. And he's the only one in the end who can finish the job, or at least attempt to finish the job. I know that part kind of didn't make sense, but I just had this like thought as I was watching the movie, like Godzilla is more of a boogeyman. Like that's how it felt. He felt like a character. I don't know, like I just had that crazy feeling as I watched this movie, like this is the main character's personification of like his destructive nature. But now it's just in Godzilla, and it's like a battle within himself. Like the main character is like Godzilla. That's just how I felt. I know that's not how, well, maybe it is. I don't know. That's just kind of how I viewed it. Like, I really liked this movie, and it got me thinking a lot. Because as cool as all the Godzilla scenes are and everything, the actual people in it, it just really had me thinking. Like, there's a really cool scene where the main character he has a nightmare, and it's like that typical, he wakes up and she's like watching him. She's like, oh, you know, another nightmare. It's like one of those scenes where it's like, oh, another nightmare. He's like, oh, you know, he's sweating, and he's like, oh, they're just repeating. You know, it's kind of one of those typical scenes, but instead of the main character going like, oh yeah, I'm just being like tormented, blah, 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 he starts freaking out, and he's like, am I awake right now? Is this a dream? None of this can be real. I'm in hell. Like, I died on the island. None of this is real. This is like the dreams of a dead man that I'm living through right now. And he is just so tormented. The next scene is like a montage of just happy things happening to him. Like, oh, he's having fun with the baby. They're like making rice. He bought a motorcycle. They built up their house. Oh, look, they have a new little house. Oh, he has friends over for dinner because he got a job. He's good at his job. You're like, oh, what a weird change of pace. Is like, okay, thank you very much. And they're all happy having dinner. Girlfriend, which we're assuming is his girlfriend at this time, she goes to get up, and his friends they call him his wife or girlfriend. They're like, oh, your girlfriend's so nice. And she goes, oh, I'm not his girlfriend. And then it's just silence. And she gets up and goes in the kitchen, and they're like, what do you mean that's not your wife or girlfriend, whatever? Then he explains how they met, and they're like, oh, that's a beautiful story. And it is a beautiful story. It's like, out of all the tragedy that happened, you were all brought together to make like a happy family. It's like almost poetic. He's like, no, I don't want any of that. I don't deserve any of that. Like, don't call her that. And you're like, oh shit, but we just had this happy montage. I thought the character was like happy now, but he's not. He's not happy at all. He's still fighting his war, which he says. He says, my war is not over. Right, okay, right, yes. You are a PTSD-ridden vet. Like, of course. Like, it's that was very powerful for me. I sat there like, oh, wow. Like, this movie is this does not get happy. It does. It really hangs it. You're on the edge of your seat, man. There's a couple times where Godzilla is like chasing an airplane, and the main character's in the airplane. And I genuinely thought there's a couple shots that like he gets really close, like goes through, he almost bites the plane, you know, he almost hits it with his tail. It's framed in a way where I actually thought, like, when the tail came over, I was like, oh my god, it's gonna hit him. I thought they were gonna Game of Thrones him or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I had me on the edge of my seat, dude. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I feel like I could go on about the emotional side to it, but I feel like you get it. I could literally break down that stuff because I was really invested with the characters and their relationships, and how he ends up like he brings the guy on the island in the original, like at the very opening scene, and that character is shown dragging the bodies back, and then when our main character wakes up and he blames them he's like, this is all your fault, if only you would have shot. It's like the beginning of the movie. He brings that guy back, and I like how they showed it because you only see him walk once, and he has like a limp, and then there's a scene where you see our main character walking, you see his feet, and then someone's behind him, and it's the guy with the limp, and you only know it's him because he has a limp. Like, you don't see his face. I was like, oh, like, I like how they did that. It's like very creative. And another very creative choice I thought was so cool involving Godzilla was his heat ray, atomic breath, heat breath, whatever. It's in this movie they call it a heat breath. In Godzilla fashion, his scales charge up to the color blue. It's almost like they're starting from his tail, charging up like a battery all the way up to his head. Then his fucking eyes glow, and then he fires the beam out, right? And normally, we've seen it over in North America a lot of the years. It's almost like a flamethrower, like an overheat, like a hyper beam, like a Pokemon move, like it's like a constant stream, like and then it kind of stops and fizzles out. But this one, when it's charging, the first time they show it to you in its full capacity, it goes from, it goes right from the bottom of his tail, and his first spike, it goes pops up, and then it's blue. The second one, you hear it goes all the way to the ones on his head, and then he's like, bro, they fucking, and it's just this, just with even how he puts his body, like his arms go like that. And normally his arms are like this, little Godzilla arms are like that, right? His elbows come out, he thrusts forward, and it fucking rail guns out really quick, like a quick beam. It's fast. It's just so well done, the voice for it. Like, it's really like a punch, like my buddy explained, like when you pull back we cock back a gun, pull the trigger, and it hits the fucking bullet. That's what it was like. It was like boom, just and everything was evaporated around it. And then once everything starts to come back together, so there's like that first initial blast, but then because it's so forceful, it pulls everything back in. Like, it was so cool. It was so cool and so well done that you were familiar, like, with how they did the audio and the for the spikes popping. You knew that there was one like pinnacle point of the movie. Like, I mean, I've been doing spoilers this whole time, so like all hope is lost, and basically Godzilla's like, they're like, oh my god, we couldn't get him, and he's like fucking pissed. The look on his face is crazy, man. And you hear like he's charging up that like his heat breath, but it doesn't show him charging it up like the other times. Right from his tail all the way up his back, you know. The second time it was a little different, third, whatever, however many times. But the last time, it does not even show Godzilla. It just cuts to all the people turning. It's like in slow-mo or whatever, and it's all you hear is the charge. That's it. All the audios, it's just like, you don't hear anyone screaming or anything. People just looking, the look on their face. Like, a dude takes his fucking hat off, like, he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Like, and you know, just from the audio, because they've made you familiar with that audio cue at this point, that you know how far along the charge is. Like, you know, once it starts to pick up, oh, we're getting up his back, we're gonna be on his head soon. Like, he's gonna fire that thing any second. And it's done so well. It's done so well. They did a good job of making you're leaning forward like, oh my god, you're on the edge of your seat, man. They got you. There was a part at the ending that I felt I didn't love, but at the same time, it depends on how you look at it. I'm not going to say it, but there's two ways you can look at the very, very end, as either it's like a reward or it either like cheapens it. And it depends on how you want to look at it, you know? You could look at this movie in different ways. I'm just choosing to look at it in the way that I am. Like, I really liked it, and I just think it was one of the best Godzilla movies ever. There's a scene where Godzilla's walking past the shore. There's no water around him. It's just green. He's in like, there's mountains. He fucking tramples a farm, and it was cool seeing him not around water. Just like, he just sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't know. It was funny seeing him like that. And he does toy. Like, there's a couple parts where you're like, well, he could just shoot this thing with his laser beam that comes out of his mouth, or he could do this, or he could do that. But it's almost like he's like toying with them, or it's almost like he's like a big cat. I don't know. His personality when they're playing with them, like fucking with them, is pretty funny. But when he's destroying shit, he's just terrifying. Like, actually terrifying. The classic callback going from his feet all the way up, and you see his legs are like fucking tree trunks, and it gets bigger up his body, and he gets like skinnier. It's such a nice callback. And then the dun 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 dun. The classic theme. And there's like a TikTok audio that's poisoned my brain. That's that. And then it's like boom, 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 da, da, da. So I almost thought that was gonna happen in the movie. I'm like, whoa, internet brain, stop. But I love the big reveal. Well, they've shown him a couple times before that, but the big reveal of his huge body when it does the right to his big meaty toes, up his fucking thighs, those cheeky boys, up to any fucking just. It's so cool. Like, it's just so cool. The boat chase scene. How have we not had Godzilla chasing a boat in every single scene? Also, he should be way faster. I gotta say, there's no way that boat is faster than him. But I guess he's just kind of like cruising along. maybe he's not going very fast. He's kind of like cruising. He's almost got like an alligator, because he's like above the water like this, just like, you know. It's not like he's high. He's got his mouth like. It's cool. Like, it was more like a gator. I love how they did Godzilla. It was awesome, and it was a reboot. It was a reboot. I thought it was a remake, but it was a reboot of like the original series or whatever. Yeah, this movie was awesome. It's actually like kind of insanely gruesome. Like, Godzilla squishes some people, and there's a scene my buddy pointed out. Well, we all saw it, but it was just crazy he just takes a step and the ground shoots up, because of obviously he's heavy as fuck, and it like propels people up into the sky. It's wild. When he leans over and gets people in his mouth and doesn't eat them and just fucking skyrockets them, it's cool, man. That Godzilla in this movie, like, I don't know how else to explain it other than like a boogeyman. He really was out to get our main character, like, hardcore. He's like, this is what you get. This is what you get. Choose to live or die. And our main character's like, I want to live. Yeah, Godzilla is basically, some would even say that he's invincible in this movie, and he pretty much is. Like, I thought, well, he is. That's not even. That's all I'm gonna leave it at. I could go on about Godzilla, this one specifically, and what I think I'm gonna have to do is watch some other ones. I still got Shin Godzilla I gotta watch, which is by the same director. Maybe I'll pick another one from like the Godzilla and Kong series, because there's a bunch of different versions of Godzilla at this point now, with like MonsterVerse, the Hollywood Godzilla, Shin Godzilla, Godzilla -1. Like, they're all different now, so it'll do something like that. But for now, I just love this movie. I thought it was awesome. This is I don't know. I said it in my last little video when I talked about Final Fantasy. Giving things ratings, man, I don't know. There are a couple movies that I've done in the past that I look back, I'm like, I don't think that was a 92 or whatever I gave it. But I will always like this movie. That's something I can guarantee you. Now, this was an awesome movie that I was super excited to see. It did not disappoint. I saw it with my best fucking friend. We saw it at IMAX. It was just him. There was like 6 people in the theater. It was awesome. It was such a good experience. When Godzilla roared, I literally fell back in my seat. Like, I could feel it. It was awesome. That's cinema, baby. Cinema. All right, well, I'm going to play some God of War now, because the DLC is out like right this second. Catch that at twitch.tv/thepitlive or my YouTube channel, Just Jacob, which you'll be watching this on now. So that's where more God of War videos will be. My Final Fantasy video, I got some Spider-Man video, which I'm gonna have to make another Spider-Man drama video, because y'all be wild. But yeah, until then, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Godzilla is the true king of monsters. This movie does not disappoint. A must-see. Peace.